gone, still on the ride. Mike and Need be side by side, talking thrills from coast to coast, celebrating what we love the most. Turn it up, feel the vibe, join the thrill of this ride. Hold on tight, it's time to go. Here it is, Coaster Radio.
This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Welcome to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, my close personal friends, Mike Collins and E.B.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike. I am here with my friend E.B., and we are ready to talk theme parks and thrill rides.
Yeah, Mike, this is going to be a fun episode of Coaster Radio because we are doing our annual Hot or Not in the second half of this week's show. Hot or Not, so much fun.
Yeah, I love this episode because it really is. I mean, I think that if you're one of, like a member of a marketing team at a park or even a park chain, this is a show you want to listen to. Yeah, because it's free marketing, it's free survey taking. I guess free to data collection, EB. That's what we're doing here. Like, we are gathering a gigantic group of people who love theme parks and thrill rides, and we're asking them a bunch of questions about the industry. And in real time, you can actually see whether people think that trend in the industry is hot or not. So I really think that, if you're somebody who works in marketing and trying to figure out what you want to do with your park, this is the show you want to watch.
Yeah, this is a real interactive topic for coasterradio.com listeners. So joining us Wednesday night, 9 p.m., we do have, waiting right now, a whole bunch of listeners to with their screens up. And Mike, you're going to be showing them in real time the topic, and then they get to pick hot or not, and we will see the results. That's all coming up in the second half of the show. But for now, let's do some news. Let's start with our first drop.
Yeah, now we knew that when Six Flags and Cedar Fair merged, there would be a lot of action. I mean, I think we were all kind of just curious about, would we see the Six Flags name in Cedar Fair parks? We were like looking for the real visible things. But I was kind of curious about what would happen business-wise behind the scenes. I was really curious about, once they merged all the parks, would they start taking a look at, well, this park is kind of close to this park, and do we really need both?
Right.
And I wonder if that is what is starting to be talked about behind the scenes, because I'm looking at an article right here that says Six Flags may sell some parks as part of new strategy. And the log line is Six Flags is reevaluating its portfolio and may sell or close underperforming amusement parks as part of Project Accelerate. And that's something we've talked about here on the show before.
Yeah, and this is something I think a question was asked on a recent investor call is where this comes from. And the CEO, Richard Zimmerman, he said it's certainly on the table. It is something they will be looking at. And now, of course, the game becomes which parks are on the chopping block, because they've got some in mind, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think especially, they're talking about selling or closing parks that no longer meet strategic or financial goals. So you've got to start looking at parks that are financially not doing well, but then maybe strategically, are there parks that are close to each other and I'm looking right now at like Six Flags America and King's Dominion. Those are kind of close together. I mean, from like, you might be talking about within an hour and a half of each other. Maybe two if you're a slow driver. Is that too close? Like, do they cannibalize each other a little bit? I don't know.
No, exactly. Well, and I've talked about this. I've put it on my Coasterdamus predictions that Six Flags America is in valuable suburban real estate territory outside the DC metro area. I absolutely could see them closing that park, but we've seen investment in that park lately, though.
I
right?
know.
And so it's kind of like, I don't know what's going to happen.
I always look at Six Flags America, and I think that's one of those parks, like when we talked with Will Cook back in the day, where he said, like, actually the water park makes more money for them than the dry park. I wonder if Six Flags would keep the water park and sell off the land where the dry park is and just move rides to other parks. That might make sense, because they could make a pretty penny off of the land that park sits on. but they could still make a lot of money with that water park.
Well, that's an interesting idea. Just make it go back to Wild World, right? When it was just a water park.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. So it's going to be interesting to see. There's a lot of talk out there about this. And, I think you got to look at the smaller parks, like the one in Oklahoma and I don't know, Michigan's
Frontier
Adventure,
City, huh?
maybe. Although I think Michigan's Adventure does make a profit. They just don't invest in it because they probably don't need to. They get the same people coming back year after year. But
right. But what are we talking about? What is this here called? It's called Project Accelerate.
Yeah.
And the project is supposed to provide a comprehensive review of the portfolio to evaluate potential divestiture of non-core assets.
yeah.
So is a mediocre park that you don't invest in one of your core assets?
Yeah.
Or are the high-performing, high-profile parks your core asset? So just because the park makes a profit, maybe they're like, we just don't want to be in that business anymore of running, a Michigan's Adventure. We want to get into the business of running a Magic Mountain, right?
Yeah.
And so maybe they are just going to trim out the smaller parks.
Yeah. The one thing I'm hoping we don't see is that there are parks in the Six Flags chain that have a lot of undeveloped land.
Yes.
And
well, they're talking about that with King's Dominion, right?
Yes, right. That's one park, yeah, because they have a lot of land around that park, and I've always thought about how much fun that would be to see them expand. And it's also kind of nice that there isn't like development right up against the park too. That's kind of a nice thing as well. But I've always looked at that land when you're up there on the Eiffel Tower, and even on some of the tall rides like Drop Tower and stuff, you can really see where there's some room if they did want to expand and, put some big rides out there. So I'm hoping that's not something that happens where they sell to developers. And next thing you know, you've got houses and restaurants and stuff coming in and encroaching on the area. Like that's not the type of thing I want to see, but we'll have to see, man. It's interesting days we're living in,
It's all very interesting. And well, the good news is that no parks are closing right now. But we'll see, and it's time will tell, and we'll start to see now that they're really working on Project Accelerate. We'll start to see indicators, maybe, right? Of they're not really investing in this. They're not doing track work anymore. They're not, doing the regular maintenance. That's usually an indicator, that a park is getting ready to go away. Is that they stop fixing it.
Yeah.
So everybody, pay attention to your parks. If there's less janitors and less maintenance workers, that might mean something. If they start moving all of the benches. Out and
look for
pulling
those
up the
things.
nice bushes.
For real. And we are living in like a weird financial time right now. And I don't want to get into
I'm sure I don't know what you mean.
Yeah, but I mean, watch out, guys. That could have an effect on all these parks that we love, and it could have an effect on some of these decisions. Like, I have to laugh, man. I mean, I saw somebody on Reddit, like on the roller coaster subreddit, like 6 months ago saying, I'm voting for Trump because he's going to be good for roller coasters. I don't think so, dude. I don't know if that's the way to vote for roller coasters. I mean, just look at the steel prices, dude.
I don't recall him ever talking about his favorite inversion.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I had to laugh that there was actually a guy who was like basing his vote for president on roller coasters.
What's Trump's coaster count, Mike?
That's a good question. I would say less than 2. I think that dude's coaster count is less than 2. Maybe he rode one somewhere at some point with one of his kids or something. It's got to be less than 2. There's no way it's over 2.
I'm really curious, and I bet I would guess that there's some sort of like TV special that he did in the 80s, maybe where they put him on the Cyclone or something like that.
Right, something like that. Yeah.
But I can't imagine of his own free will choosing to ride a roller coaster.
I can't imagine at all. In a suit, yeah, that's not going to work. But I had to laugh at the dude who like based his vote based on
that doesn't make any
good
sense
for roller coasters because it makes 0 sense.
Nope.
And probably not true at all. Probably the opposite for all of us who love this stuff. So
yeah.
Anyway,
we'll see.
Expensive steel, EB. Those tariffs are going to make the B&M roller coasters harder to build. I got to tell you that.
We got the steel here in the U.S. at least, but any of that other stuff that's coming over from the EU, that's going to be tough.
I was seeing something on YouTube though where they were talking about the fabrication, and a lot of the B&M roller coasters, even though they fabricate the steel here, the materials actually come from Italy. I didn't know that the actual running rails, I was watching a documentary on it. The running rails, actually, the steel comes from Italy and other parts of Europe. So even though they're like actually creating and bending the shapes and stuff out in Ohio.
Okay. The raw materials.
The raw material still comes
Gotcha.
from overseas. Yeah.
Womp, womp.
Yeah, so I don't know, man. Like all this stuff could be hurting us getting new
If
roller coasters.
only that guy knew that back in November, he would have voted different. It's like,
Yeah,
the raw
right.
materials come from Europe. No.
I'm changing my vote.
I'm changing my vote.
For more roller coasters.
I'm a single issue voter. What's
Yes,
your
it
issue? Something important? Roller coasters.
Roller coasters. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd love to meet that guy.
Good.
Yeah.
All right, let's get some quick hits.
Yes.
Quick hits.
Oh, indeed. There's some good ones, and you're going to like number 4, but
This
I
is fun.
saved the best for last, DB. So first up, I like it when some of these like screen-based attractions get new scenes. That's always fun. Like Star Tours, like over the years, they've been adding new scenes. So you get on Star Tours and there are like, thousands of different permutations that it could be based on the different scenes that you get.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if they were going to do that with Smuggler's Run in the Star Wars land. And it looks like they're going to at both Disneyland and Walt Disney World.
Oh, sweet.
They're going to add some scenes with the Mandalorian and Grogu. So yeah, it looks like you're going to like get to fly the Millennium Falcon through the Cloud City, which is pretty cool.
Okay, this is great. I love that idea. And the interactivity, the video gaminess of riding Smuggler's Run, this makes it immensely more re-rideable.
Yes.
Right? Once you take the 4 seats and do the 4 different jobs and get incredibly frustrated at the mom who's doing a terrible
Yeah.
at
Banging
flying
the
ship.
Falcon into everything. Yeah.
Or that kid, he's just not great at grabbing those cartons or whatever it is that are flying around. This is going to give you an opportunity to play the game of Smuggler's Run. New levels, right? New levels have been released. There's some DLC coming.
Yeah. So that is good. In some bad news, though, I mean, the trend of flat rides and other smaller attractions at parks across the country continues. This time at Busch Gardens Williamsburg, the Flying Machine, which is a Tivoli Orbiter ride, is not opening for 2025. That's been a ride that's been there forever. It was in the Da Vinci's Garden of Invention, where they had Da Vinci's Cradle that was back there. So now Da Vinci's Cradle is gone. Now Flying Machine is gone. The only thing kind of left there is a big swinging ship that does not go upside down like Berserker at King's Dominion. So the reason I put it here into the rundown is I'm wondering, is Busch Gardens getting ready to do something with that area or to put some type of either separate new attractions, like maybe to keep the Garden of Invention type thing, or are they talking about maybe something bigger in that area? Because now it's like 2 out of the 3 Da Vinci rides that were on that side of the park are now gone.
That would be great. I mean, and do you mourn the loss of an old fairground ride? I mean, an orbiter is just a spin and puke where you sit, what is it, in a seat, and then it spins around and flops you around and throws you around.
Yeah, I don't mourn it as long as they have plans to replace it. And the problem was, like, I was bummed when Da Vinci's Cradle left because that was always a fun ride. But
which one?
Then,
what was that?
It was one of those Italian flying carpet rides.
Cool. Yeah.
And it was a really cool ride, and they themed it so well. They added like a fake pulley system to make it look like Da Vinci built it.
Oh, there it is. I'm looking at a picture. Yeah, it's like one of those old, like a rainbow.
Yes, right.
Fairground ride kind of.
And
thing.
it was pretty intense. It wasn't like just a
those are fun.
kiddie ride.
Now, see, that's the thing. Is a fun, unique flat ride is a great thing. I don't. The Orbiter isn't. I'd be upset about the Da Vinci's Cradle going away. That makes sense. But on the Orbiter, no. Put in something cool. They could get one of those nebulas. That would totally work.
I was thinking the nebulas was going to go in the place of the Da Vinci Cradle, but it didn't. So it makes me wonder if they're thinking of something bigger, or are now they just finally getting around to it and they're just going to replace all the rides with newer Zamperla creations.
Oh, that could be a thing. I mean, there is a trend, I feel like, of parks saying we're getting 3 new flat rides. They like to do like multiple at the same time. So maybe that's an announcement we'll see for 2026 from Busch Gardens. That'd be cool.
Right. Coda Land is something that we've all been looking forward to. And now it looks like we have a possible opening date for that park. And of course, the 2 roller coasters that are going to be there. There's a Formula One race, a Grand Prix race in the U.S. that's going to be there at the racetrack. That's on October 19th of this year.
Okay.
So they are saying that could be when the park opens. That could be when those roller coasters open. So they've got to move because They got to keep that's coming up. That's not
fully
that far
doable
away.
though. We're talking
Yeah.
about October. That's totally doable to get both of those rides up and running, get the park all set, get them tested, do promotion. And yeah, that's the whole idea is Coda Land is supposed to, the Circuit of the Americas. It's at a racetrack. It's in Texas. The whole idea is making the race a bigger event. And what better way to do that with this Formula One race than have the park open alongside the race itself?
Yeah. So that's exciting. Yeah. It's funny though. We're getting 2 of those tilt coasters in 1 year. That's amazing.
Yeah. It is funny.
Wild that, that's such a weird roller coaster.
And
the
one
fact that
at one of the largest parks in the country and the other one at a small park nobody even ever heard of.
Yes, right.
Which is totally wild.
Yeah. So super interesting. Last one here. Is this a Coaster-Damus win for you, EB? I'm trying to remember, but either way, it's a win for you because I know you were not a fan of the zoo that was at Lagoon Park out in Utah. Every time you have talked about Lagoon, you always bring up the zoo and how you felt bad for the animals and wish they were not there. Rejoice, EB, for the zoo is gone.
The zoo is gone.
Yes, the animals are being moved off location to other places.
I thought they were also going to announce the opening of an exotic meats restaurant.
No, nothing like that.
Okay, good.
Nothing, yeah.
Okay.
All the animals are being moved to new homes, and the zoo no longer at Lagoon. And I know that was something that you said you loved Lagoon. You loved everything about Lagoon except the zoo.
There you go. Excellent. Yeah, I'm looking at the article that you put in the rundown here, and it says the amusement park zoo has been a source of controversy for decades, with groups questioning the conditions and welfare of the animals. No mention of Coaster Radio, however, in this article.
Yes.
But this is great news. I think I generally don't like zoos, and I'm not a fan of zoos, but this was an example of a really bad zoo on top of it just being a zoo.
I remember you said that like you went by the animals on the train and they just all looked sad. And they didn't look.
I think we all know really nice zoos. I mean, the National Zoo is a really nice zoo. The St. Louis Zoo is really nice. San Diego is really nice. Indianapolis even has a nice zoo. They're still zoos. This zoo was one of those where it was like chain link fences and concrete.
Yeah.
So this zoo needed to go.
It's a good move by Lagoon. Like they don't need it.
Nope.
They don't need it there.
Nope.
At all,
and they're spinning it the right way. They're saying this is a great move for us because this is prime land that's right here. It's kind of in the middle of the park, and it is clearing the way for future development.
Good.
So we want to see more from Lagoon because they build awesome rides. They build great rides.
Yeah. So get rid of the zoo and give us some rides there.
Sure.
And send the animals other places. So
good job, Lagoon.
Yes. So but I couldn't remember if that was one of your Coaster-Damuses. I thought maybe it might have been, but
it was probably just me predicting that I'd be mad about the zoo for another year.
Yes, maybe that was it.
So I got it wrong because I'm not mad anymore.
There you go. Well, we are going to ask questions like that, like we might ask coming up on the Hot or Not segment, like
zoos and parks,
at theme parks, so hot or not,
like exotic meat restaurants.
Oh yes, hot, very hot. Yeah, so
get your panda burger.
Yeah. Oh, tasty. Yeah. So that is the type of thing that we are going to be talking about here in just mere moments. Like you said, EB, hundreds of listeners standing by right now on their phones. They're going to go to vote.coasterradio.com. As we talk about the different topics, their phone will light up with the option to hit hot or not. Mm-hmm. And we will see the numbers change in real time.
I love that.
To see how the audience thinks about it.
It's so much fun because as we're discussing it, you and I will see, like, we'll influence the voting and it'll be like, burr, 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 burr.
Oh, yes. Yeah. It changes as we're talking about it, too. So that is coming up. Let me tell you one other thing, though. Talking about new rides, Rapterra at King's Dominion is having some previews next weekend, and we will be there with Coaster Radio doing some interviews with park staff. Hopefully getting a chance to ride the ride. They're actually going to have the chef out there doing some tastings about new things for the 50th anniversary. So this is exciting. It's the 50th anniversary of King's Dominion. Big new ride coming up, but we're also going to get a chance to talk to the park leadership about not only Rapterra, but also about big plans for the 50th anniversary. So it'll be a good chance to get out to King's Dominion and kick off this 2025 season.
That's fantastic. No, and maybe we can make the personal ask about Coaster Radio meetup this fall. That'd be
that's right. Yeah,
that'd be
that's
a nice thing to throw in there too. Perfect.
Yes,
cool.
Yes.
But you're going to be there. That's going to be great. I think I'm going to hold down the fort. You're going to be there, and so we'll make it happen. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah, so that's something fun to look forward to next week here at Coaster Radio. So let's take a break, and when we come back, it's time to find out what you guys think is hot or not. We'll be right back.
This is Coaster Radio. Welcome back to the 20th anniversary season of Coaster Radio. Here are your hosts, Mike Collins and EB.
Welcome back, everybody, to the original theme park podcast. You are listening to Coaster Radio. My name is Mike. I am here with my friend EB. And one of the things I've always loved about the Coaster Radio podcast are the interactive segments that we get to do. Even though we're a podcast, even though it's a recorded medium and people are listening in their car and playing it back, you and I still kind of go back to like old school radio ways and try to figure out ways for the audience to actually affect the show. And I think this episode here is definitely one of those.
Yes, absolutely. This is a super fun thing here at Coaster Radio, our Hot or Not annual episode, where we're going to be looking for you guys to vote on topics that are hot or not, and tell us what they are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so like we were saying at the top of the show, like I think if you were a marketing professional in the industry, this is a show you want to watch. And by the way, this is a show any of you out there want to watch. One of the cool things that we're doing for this 20th season is putting all of our episodes on YouTube with video. So you can actually go to YouTube and watch the show, and it's not just like the Coaster Radio logo there for an hour. You actually see me and EB chatting it up.
Yes.
And for an episode like this, you are going to see the real-time data coming in as people vote on whether these topics are hot or not. So it's kind of fun to see the numbers rising and falling based on what we're talking about. And it's really fascinating, especially when we get into some segments about the different park chains themselves. Like when we say Six Flags, hot or not, it's going to be interesting to see what this audience believes at this point in time. Is Six Flags hot or not? Really cool.
Well, and I think we have to give a little bit of instruction here for things that are kind of controversial.
Yes.
Right? I think what's our very first one, and people can start thinking about this now. Six Flags selling off parks. Is that hot or not? We don't need to... You have to think of this as, is this trending right now? Is this something everybody's talking about? Is this a big deal worthy of your attention? Not whether you like it or not.
Right.
Is it hot or not? Because to me, I feel like people are talking about this, and Six Flags selling off parks is hot right now.
Yeah.
That is a thing people are into.
Yeah, and you can see we went ahead and made that question live. People are starting to vote as we are talking. And you can see early voting right now. It's kind of split 50-50 as the audience is stepping in there and seeing, and now it's moving ahead. Like, you know, so it's interesting to see where the audience is. They're kind of split on whether they think this maybe is a good idea for Six Flags to sell off some parks. But some people right now kind of settling in saying, no, I don't think that's hot. I don't think that's a good thing.
Yeah, but it is definitely a trend. It's definitely happening, I think. So I would say hot for this.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're what about 43 to 57% hot? People are voting no, it's not.
Yeah. So interesting. So this is actually how this is going to go. We're going to talk about a bunch of different things. We're starting off here on the episode with more news-related things, and then we'll sort of get into some of the new attractions that are coming up in 2025 and so on. So a lot of good things to talk about. So let's go to our second one here and see what everybody thinks. 9% surcharges on purchases. Now, this is something that's happening at some of the SeaWorld parks. I just put this in here to shame them because I'm hoping that it's 100% not hot. But I don't know. Some people actually saying it's hot. Do they like that idea? You'd be at 20% hot right now, which is very weird.
So we are saying it's whether you like it or not, because I always approach these differently sometimes.
Yeah, I think
it's not just that this is like a big thing. This is like if you're Paris Hilton, that's hot.
Yeah.
I love surcharges.
Yeah.
Oh my God, surcharges are awesome.
Yeah, I was just thinking this would be like, you know, everybody thinking it's a bad idea across the board. Like, I don't understand why these surcharges are there when they could just raise the price 50 cents on everything. You know,
okay.
like,
this is do you like it or don't like it? I gave bad instructions at the beginning, Mike.
No,
so,
I agree with your instructions, though. I think your instructions are correct on how to look at it. But just on this one here,
18 to 82% not hot. 9% surcharges on purchases, 82% not.
Yeah, there we go. How about this next one? This one's getting a lot of discussion. Disney's plans for the rivers of America at Magic Kingdom.
Fill it in?
Yeah, they're talking about like draining it and putting the cars ride there. And it's interesting. I have seen former Imagineers taking to X and talking about ways that they could save the rivers of America and still do everything else they want with the Cars ride and with the Villains Land. They've actually like gone on and even though they don't work there anymore, they've showed
their plans. Like, let me sketch it out for you guys. I'll show you.
They sketched it out and said like, hey, you can save it all. You can keep it all. And I wonder if Disney would look at that and think about it. Yeah. Right now, the audience saying 60% not hot. They don't like those plans for Rivers of America. Yeah.
But we've been clamoring for a Villains Land. You're finally getting it. How can you vote not?
I know. That's the thing. It's just like Magic Kingdom is just overrun with people. That's one of the few areas of the park where it's kind of peaceful. And it actually...
But if you can build more park, that will spread people out.
That's true. Yeah.
Except it won't, because more people will just come in.
But don't they have enough land back there where they could just like build behind it? Like, are they up against a wall back there? I'm gonna have to look at Google Maps again and just see if what that is. So, but anyway,
no, they own the whole swamp.
Yeah,
they've got plenty of room.
I do love this though. I do love seeing the real time stats as we go along. So very interesting. How about this next one? We've been talking about how Cedar Fair is actually putting lockers at Top Thrill 2. So they're going to make everybody put all of their things into a locker, but those lockers will be free. How do we feel that parks overall are handling the use of lockers these days in their parks?
And is it trending in the right direction, I think, is part of this too. How parks are handling the use of lockers, hot or not. We have our live listeners here Wednesday night at 9:00 voting in real time. You can see this on the YouTube version of the podcast, the bars going up and down as the votes come in. Mostly not is what we're seeing here. It's about a third say not and 2/3 say how the parks are handling lockers is hot right now.
Yeah. So it's interesting because I think if parks can make this easy on us, then we'll see more people saying that it's hot. I really like the idea of how Universal does it. I think, Universal is strict, man, like with any of those roller coasters. And I'm sure at Epic Universe, we're going to see this. If you want to ride, the racers there, you've got to put everything you own into a locker, but at least they are giving you that locker for free. And,
yes.
And most people go along with it. They like, hey, I'd rather ride than be kicked off the ride by holding something in my pocket. So I like that. I'm thinking that the industry is heading in the right direction with that, which is good.
Yeah, I think there was a cash grab with lockers for a while there, and I'm hoping that we are seeing it move in the right direction. I think as we've talked here, we've convinced a couple of people voting. We now are at 56% hot and 43% not.
Yeah.
Oh no, it went the other direction. They disagreed with us.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, how about this, EB? This one you need to give some instructions on. Kingda Ka being demolished. Are we talking about the actual demolition itself? Was that hot? Or are we talking about the fact that the ride is no more? Which way do you want to go with this one?
Oh, I don't think anybody is happy that the ride is gone. I want to know if people thought the demolition was what they wanted.
Okay, that's good.
They said it was going to implode. They said they were going to do all this, what it was going to be, the anticipation of the event itself. And then we got that great drone footage of the ride actually coming down. I thought it was going to be like the way they demolish or implode a building.
Yes.
And it would go da-doom, 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 da-doom with the explosions, and it would just collapse straight down.
Yeah.
But no, they just blasted the bottom and it went over like a tree.
Yeah, and it fell
and then shattered when it hit the ground.
Yes,
it was
like an erector set.
Super hot.
Yeah, it was
totally hot.
It was awesome how it just fell perfectly right where they wanted it.
And the whole thing came down in one piece intact, but everywhere they had kind of pre-cut for it to fall apart, it just like a Lego set or Tinker Toys or something.
Yeah,
yep.
Yeah. So I don't know if the audience voted with the way we talked about it, because right now it's 53% hot, 46% not. They might be talking about maybe they wish the ride hung around. So, yeah.
Well, I think they might also be voting on the fact that we had talked a lot about how they should have launched a roller coaster.
Yes.
Down the track.
I agree with that
at the same time that they were demolishing it, and they missed an opportunity there. So that's a reason to vote not on Kingda Ka being demolished.
Yeah. As somebody who lives in the Mid-Atlantic region, I was very excited when I heard that parks close to me were staying open year round. In the case of Busch Gardens, they're still doing that. At Kings Dominion, they did not. How do you feel about regional parks being open year round? I mean, this is something that we're seeing some parks stick with, some parks not. Is that something that's hot in the industry here?
I love that it's happening. Is it hot in the industry right now? No, it's not hot in the industry. I think they're totally cooling off on the idea of regional parks opening year round. But for me personally, I love it. I think it's great.
Yeah.
So hot.
Yeah. So 85% agreeing with you, saying that's a hot thing. And parks, I'd like to see more of it. And I think, I don't know, we had a mild winter here in the Mid-Atlantic, so I think that Busch Gardens actually had a lot of people show up. I even considered, my birthday's in early February. I looked on the weekend of my birthday. It was like low 50s at Busch Gardens on my birthday in February. So that's totally doable. You could get out to the park in the low 50s.
Sure.
It's when it's in its like tens and teens and 20s that's really hard to be at the park. But I think the audience wants to see a little bit more of that. So why don't we do this now? Let's move now from news stories into new attractions for 2025. We're going to go like all of the big ones that are coming in. And do we want to give some instruction on this? Like, is this how people personally feel about each of these rides? Like whether they personally feel it's hot or not?
I think for this one, I think the regional parks opening year round, maybe we should have done this too, where I want everybody to kind of, hold their finger up to the wind of the industry.
Okay.
And the Thusi community, roller coaster fans in general. Are people excited about this? Is this something that you're hearing people talking about? You can put in a little bit of your own opinion here and say if it's what you want, but we're going to go through some attractions that are coming for 2025. And I want to know if you think these are hot attractions or if people are like, no,
yeah, okay,
I'll walk past you and go to the other one.
Okay. So it's not necessarily your own opinion. It's how you kind of feel everyone is feeling about it.
Imagine you're at a middle school dance and all of these attractions are lined up on the opposite wall.
Yes,
and you're walking over to invite someone to do the electric slide with you.
I like it.
Are they hot or are you going to walk by and say not?
All right. So let's start it up. What about Top Thrill 2 at Cedar Point? Do you invite Top Thrill 2 to dance? I guess is the question. And remember, this is a ride that was supposed to open last year and be the big headlining attraction last year and did not do so well. So does that hope and hype carry over into 2025?
Speaking of carry, maybe this is at the dance we invite Top Thrill 2 up to the stage and then dump a bucket of blood on it.
That's
it's
right.
Like, we actually don't love you. We hate you now.
Oh, yes. So, about 2/3 of the audience saying hot. A third of the audience
it's
saying
hot. They're
not,
sticking
though.
with it.
Yeah,
we know. We got some Cedar Point fanboys out there.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
But still, I'm surprised that 30% of the audience saying not hot. Interesting, right? Do you think they are feeling like the ride might not, stay open? like it might have issues again? It's interesting. I was thinking that might be higher. I was thinking that might be into like the 80s or 90s. So, yeah.
Okay,
All right. So, yeah, let's go to the next one. Another one at Cedar Point. 2 opening this year, Siren's Curse. How about that one? I'm wondering if that's going to be higher. So the Top Thrill 2 was at 70%. Look at this early voting, 80%, 90%. So I was curious which of these 2 rides was going to get a better hot rating.
Yeah, Top Thrill 2, I think, is a broken down rehash. And Siren's Curse, even though it's not the coaster that was intended for us, it's the coaster we all want.
Yeah.
So we're getting it, and it's really exciting to see. And it's going to be, talk about hot. It's going to be all over everything social media.
Oh, yeah.
All of the grandmas posting about it as soon as this thing opens and people start posting pictures.
Yeah, would you ride that for sure? It's going to be the rallying cry. Let's do this, EB. Let's check. Which of these rides, which of these attractions gets the highest hot score? So right now, 81% for Siren's Curse is the leader.
Siren's Curse.
So let's see how that goes. So let's now go to Rapterra at King's Dominion, which we are going to be checking out on this show next week. It's pretty great that the ride is ready to go. It's ready to go for opening day. They were testing it last year. So that's a good sign. And, they've been doing really good media stuff, too, out there, doing a lot of video work and showing behind the scenes, showing the theming that's being added, doing interviews out there. I like their social media strategy.
I'm liking this ride better and better as time goes on. When they first announced it, I was like, family wing coaster. But then seeing the layout and seeing some of the stuff going in, I'm still disappointed. There's no show building. Right. I'm still disappointed. There's not as much stuff around this thing, but Thunderbird at Holiday World is kind of the original here, and Rapterra I think is going to match that that ride experience really, really well. And it's a fantastic ride. These wing coasters are great, and a launched wing coaster is even better.
Yeah.
We were watching the bars go back and forth, hovering right around 50%, Mike, but it looks like we've settled in with hot right around 53 and not 47.
Yeah. So interesting. It'll be interesting if we were to do this again after all these rides open and see if these numbers change. Yeah. So sitting at 55% hot as we move on to the next one here. Fire Runner at the Lost Island. So a single rail roller coaster for the Lost Island.
Mm-hmm. And we're watching. This is hot to me.
Yeah, and
I love any of these single rail coasters.
I also think that the Lost Island is just the little park that could, man. Like it keeps going and going, and they're adding new things every year. And you think like, oh, this park isn't going to make it, and then they keep investing. So I think they're going to get to a point where the park just has to succeed.
They're gonna reach some sort of like tipping point, I feel like, of okay, now we'll pay attention to this park. Yeah. And people will know about it. Fire Runner's a great addition. Looks like it's hot according to the audience as well. 63% say hot, only 36% say not, but it's still not beating our record.
Yeah. All right. So let's see the next one here. How about the Wrath of Rakasha at Six Flags Great America? And right now, look at this. Right away, the audience immediately jumping into not, 62% not. I mean, the votes are still coming in, but I was thinking this one might. I mean, why would this be not? I'm surprised. I was really thinking that all of these attractions would at least settle in at hot. Just a matter of, which one would be the highest.
Yeah, this is interesting. This is, I think it's our first new attraction that's going to be not hot.
Yeah.
Mike, as the votes are settling in here, it's only 42% hot, the Wrath of Rakshasa. I think the name is hurting it, number one.
Maybe.
And number two, are we bored with the dive coasters, Mike?
Yeah, but I know that everybody's got a dive coaster. I mean, they're all over the place. But you got to think of the people at Six Flags Great America. I mean, they don't have one. This is like for the people in the Chicagoland area, to have one of their own. But I wonder if the audience, and I'd love anybody who's in the chat room to actually explain why they voted not. Like, what is wrong with the attraction that at least you're not excited to see it go into a park?
We're just saying I'm bored with strange coaster names, and dive coasters are lame.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Well, this is what this is all about, and sometimes there are surprises. So that's definitely.
Well, and here's Paolo says it's going to be fun, but it's not hot.
Yeah.
So
all right.
It's fine. It's average.
Fair enough.
It's average.
Fair enough. All right. How about this next one here? Quantum Accelerator at Six Flags New England.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm curious where this is going to go too, because I think this is a good family roller coaster, but is our audience really into family coasters?
They sure aren't. This is getting an even lower score, it looks like. Quantum Accelerator. This is a family multi-launch. It's got a really interesting compact layout. There's not a big footprint, so it crisscrosses itself a lot.
Yeah.
At Six Flags New England. Boy, I'm surprised.
Whoa.
I was excited about this when I found out about it, having visited the park this past summer.
Yeah. And I like the name for it and everything. I mean, it looks like a fun ride. But again, the audience not
enough, not hot.
Not saying it's hot.
It's a fine addition, but if Paolo says in the chat room, I don't even remember what that is.
Yeah.
So it must not be too hot.
Wow, all right. I mean, and again, this is one of those things where the audience isn't saying it's bad. They're just saying it's not hot. It's
just not hot.
So I can understand, and we'll keep moving on here.
Oh, we got an all caps person in the chat room. There's so many family launch coasters.
Yes.
Too many.
Yes. How about this one? The in competition with King's Dominion, the Big Bad Wolf, the Wolf's Revenge at Busch Gardens, Williamsburg. And I
don't see how you can't call this anything else but hot.
Yeah, right.
This is fantastic.
Yeah, and I'm just wondering if it's going to beat the Cedar Point Siren's Curse. I mean, because what was that?
I mean, maybe it's not as big and bad as people wanted, because it is a family invert, right?
Right.
But looking at the layout, we've seen what this is going to be. It's going to be really cool.
Yeah. So right now at 75%.
And the fact that they picked the good name,
that's
right? So nobody's voting on the name here.
Yeah. Yeah, I am really curious to ride that and to see how much theming they put close to the track, because I think that is what's going to make that ride work.
Yeah, sure.
Instead of like its sister ride at Busch Gardens Tampa, which is just kind of out there, it's really going to harken back to the original Big Bad Wolf if they can make the ride really go close to those German buildings. So, So not breaking Siren's Curse record yet. It's at 73% hot. So let's move on and see.
All right, last votes came in, and yep, it's just at 73%.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. How about this one? These are together, Palindrome and Circuit Breaker at Codaland. And again, man, like the audience. Like,
Okay, this is surprising
Yes.
me again because we saw it jump up, and then all of a sudden the red bar hot started tanking as the votes come in. Palindrome and Circuit Breaker at Codaland. Everybody's over Codaland, I guess. It's just been too long and nobody cares.
Yeah.
It's all the way down in is it Austin? And just not enough to get people down there, I guess. And Circuit Breaker no longer the draw, I feel like, for Codaland that they thought it was going to be the first ever tilt coaster in the United States.
Yeah.
And then Six Flags puts one in Cedar Point, and all of a sudden Codaland does not have anything special and unique anymore.
But I thought Palindrome might be enough to make people think that the area was hot. But no, this is a surprise. This might be the biggest surprise of the night so far, because I was really thinking this would be hot and maybe even challenge Cedar Point. But they're saying no. 81% saying
too
not.
far, too long.
Yeah.
Yeah. 81% not for Palindrome and Circuit Breaker.
Here's another ride that was just like Cedar Point, supposed to open last year, the Flash Vertical Velocity at Six Flags Great Adventure.
This is punish them.
Punish them for not opening,
vote
right?
Not.
Yeah.
Vote not. Vote not.
Yeah. The audience is a little harsh, man. Like this is
They should be. This is a ride that probably could have opened late last year, and the park chose to not open it. So that's not hot. I'm mad at you, Six Flags.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Vote not, everybody. And it looks like they're listening.
Yeah.
Same thing here. We've got an 82% not vote on the Flash Vertical Velocity.
Yeah.
It's just a big old boomerang.
Right. Well, and here's another one coming up, another delayed ride with a new name, though, Georgia Gold Rusher at Six Flags Over Georgia. Now, this is a fun water ride. I mean, is this enough to be hot? It's going to be nice on a hot day. Is it actually going to sway the audience and be hot? Right now, no.
It's a cool ride. It's a cool ride. It's in a cool location at Six Flags Over Georgia. If you know that park and know where this is going to be, it's going to look great. It's going to be really fun to watch. I'm glad they changed the name. I'm glad they changed the paint colors, which is really funny for a ride that didn't even open. They were like, blue's out, brown's in.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like I'm voting not, just to punish Six Flags Over Georgia for being dum-dums about it.
Yeah. And not as bad as the other ones. They're at 61% not, 38% hot, but still being
good.
punished by the audience there. All right,
Vote
now
not.
here come two EB. Let's see if either of these breaks the record set by Siren's Curse. What was that at 81%?
Yep, 81
so
or
we'll
82.
see.
Yep.
How about this? Stardust Racers at Universal's Epic Universe.
I am mad about the name, but
Yes.
this ride is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
This is pretty awesome.
I can't imagine. I mean, there's some people like 20% saying not hot, but still right now it's like 81% right around the point of.
Well, we got some Thusies listening, and we did just see all those pictures posted of the trim brakes that were put on.
That's true. That might be why some of the hot not is there. Yeah.
Yep.
But look at that. It looks like it's settling right around.
Just about tied.
Yeah, we're just about tied, right? They were both at 81%. So.
Or tied, that's what I'm saying. Not tied 50-50 hot or not. This is tied for the best.
Yeah.
The most hot. So, 81.8 hot, and not is 18.2.
Yeah. All right, well, let's keep moving on here. We're going to go into different types of attractions and see
Oh,
where
good.
they are.
We've already been talking about this with some of the specific rides. So now we're just going to do overall hot or not on these stop coasters.
Yes.
And again, this is kind of looking at what do you think the community is thinking about these right now? Do we love these? Do we hate these?
Yeah.
Dive coasters is first up.
Yeah, dive coaster. So we just talked about it, like where some people were punishing the idea of a dive coaster. So are these done? Or, I mean, we're seeing them still being built, but is it going to go the way of the stand-up roller coaster, do you think?
Well, they're fun, but it seems like everybody's got one at this point. So, but people like them. I mean, again, this is bopping right around 50% up and down here. And it looks like we're settling in with just a bit over on the hot for dive coasters.
55% saying hot. How about hybrid wooden roller coasters? I mean, we're
hybrid wooden roller coasters.
I mean,
so you're talking about steel frame, wood track.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Sure. Heck yeah. Let's get more.
Yeah.
We love these.
Yeah. I was wondering if the audience might say like, okay, we're ready to move on past them. But right now, people saying they still love them, 81, 82% saying hot.
I think people's, the favorite wooden roller coasters that people enjoy the most are the hybrid wooden coasters.
Yeah. Yeah. So look at that. Very high, 84%. So if you're at a park and you're kind of wondering like, hey, what do we want to put in? Here's the audience telling you like, hey, we really like this style of ride. So interesting stuff. How about single rail roller coasters? Are those still in? I mean, we were saying we were going to see those in like every park across the country, and we haven't yet.
I'm so surprised. I'm so surprised that we have not seen that. I really thought when we saw these and we saw how you can just take it off the shelf and plunk it down in a small footprint, and they're really fun, really unique. They're visually appealing. And we just didn't see that happen.
Yeah.
Like I thought for sure we would. So maybe the trend will keep going. Maybe people are going to come back to this. Maybe Skyline kind of soured people on it with their horrible version of the single rail coaster. The audience maybe seems to agree here, Mike. They're saying single rail coasters are hot, 63%.
Yes. Look at that. Pretty good. How about this? We're seeing parks take them out left and right, but water rides, hot or not? I mean, you would think like, summertime, the parks, especially in the South, need some ways to cool you off, but we're seeing a lot of parks taking out these rides.
Water rides are hot. And are we talking about water slides? Or are we talking about flumes and rapids and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I think flumes and rapids and, splash type rides.
Any rides with water.
Yeah, like those things like the water battles, the splash battles, all those things. Yeah.
Sure. Well, would you also count something like the Georgia Gold Rush?
Yeah, sure.
That's a water ride?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I think integrating some water into the rides is something that we've seen, like the mock splash. What's that one called? The
power splash, or
the power splash. Yeah, that's that sort of thing. Sure, water rides are hot.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. So the
parks don't seem to like them. They keep taking them out, like you said, the old classics.
Yeah, I feel like the audience is kind of speaking for the parks. 52% hot, 48% not. So, just some people not liking
the new ones going in are hot. The old ones they're taking out, not.
Yes, exactly. How about this dark rides? I want to see more dark rides in the parks, but I feel like the people making the decisions feel that like those do not bring people through the gates.
Yeah, for whatever reason, it seems like the parks don't like putting these in. It almost seems like they're reluctant when a park actually does get one. That it's not something that they ever wanted, but the audience loves them. I think the people love these. Maybe it's just because they are literally indoors. People don't know that they're there. And that's what the parks are afraid of, is that putting a ride inside. But hot, that's what the audience says. Dark rides are hot. Yeah. 85% of the audience says dark rides are hot.
Yeah. So listen up, parks, give us some dark rides, and it doesn't have to be the shooting kind, with the targets and stuff. Just give us a give us a fun, like 2.5 minute ride through of something, even with an original IP would be a lot of fun. Really cool.
Yeah. And it doesn't have to be slow either. I mean, we've been seeing some of these indoor roller coasters or indoor outdoor roller coasters that can pull this off pretty effectively. So do that.
Yeah. Okay. So next up, EB, I think you need to give some instruction to the audience, because we are going to go through the different amusement park and theme park companies now. So like upcoming, we're going to say Six Flags Entertainment Corporation. How do you want people to vote? Like how they personally feel or how they are doing in the industry, do you think?
I don't want to say doing in the industry. I want to say it's like if you were in the crowd at their big press event, would you be cheering or would you be booing?
Okay, there you go. Good.
Right?
Good. Okay.
So imagine that you were at the Six Flags press conference and they're announcing their initiatives for 2025. Do you imagine that you would be like, that is so hot, this is awesome? Or would you be like, that is not cool, Six Flags, I do not like it?
Yeah. All right.
So hot or not.
So that's how you vote, everybody, coming up, because we're going to start right now with the Six Flags Entertainment Corporation, hot or not.
Boom. Look at that orange bar. Jump up.
Yeah, for the not. A lot of people saying not.
For the knots.
But look, it's moving into the 50-50 area as people start voting here. So
I think people are happy that maybe Six Flags did not come in and ruin Cedar Fair.
Yeah.
And if anything, maybe we're actually going to see Cedar Fair having a bit more of an influence on Six Flags.
Yeah.
But maybe the lesson here, because we're almost 50-50 right on the nose,
right,
for hot or not Six Flags, maybe we're still waiting to see.
Yeah.
We're still in a wait to see mode.
I think people are in a wait and see mode. You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
So so settling right around 50-50 for each. So that's interesting.
I think we're going to see some stuff this year that maybe we're going to see the influence in the parks. And then I think at the end of this season, as some announcements are made for next year, that's when we're going to really start seeing some moves by Six Flags.
All right. How about this? How about Hershend Family Entertainment? So Dollywood.
Oh, if you're in Louisville,
Yeah.
they're smoking hot.
Yeah. So I think this is a chain that people have a lot of love for. High quality stuff out of Hershend, and right away we're seeing it 81% saying hot.
This is Dollywood. This is Silver Dollar City,
Yep.
and recently acquired Louisville's Kentucky Kingdom, and doing great things with that new. I don't know what it is. Is Tom in the chat room? It's not Wildwood Grove. That's Dollywood, but it's the Kentucky Gardens. I don't forget what it's called. The Bouncing Squirrels Ride.
Oh, right.
Is going to be in there, and they're renaming everything to fit in this space, and so many flowers. It's all flowers in this new space.
Wow.
So Hershey Family Entertainment's getting hot, Mike. 85%.
There you go. How about Hershey Entertainment and Resorts? You know that they've just got the one park there, but it's still a name though, synonymous with theme parks.
It's trending down for me. I'm going to vote not. I've been less and less impressed by Hershey lately. I've gone to Hershey probably 3 or 4 times recently. In the past many years, and I think each time I enjoy it less.
Yeah,
I'm voting not for Hershey.
Yeah. The audience is kind of split. It's kind of just like Six Flags, right around 50-50.
Hovering right around the 50-50s, yep.
Yeah, so that's interesting to see how Hershey was so one-sided towards hot and how the other two chains kind of are in the middle.
Hershey you see either as consistent and awesome, and then if you're talking about Kentucky Kingdom, really awesome.
Yeah.
Hershey, what have they done for me lately, Mike?
Right.
Candymonium?
Yep.
What have they done lately?
Yeah. Here's one I am interested in, though. How about United Parks and Resorts? So we're talking about SeaWorld, Busch Gardens. A lot of people head to those parks. I mean, that's a chain that a lot of people see up there close to what Disney and Universal do.
I think they've been hot. They've been doing well. SeaWorld has been continuing with their promise to put roller coasters in every park every year. So this is good.
That's what I would think, too. That's why they would get my vote for hot, because they are expanding, especially just take a look at SeaWorld Orlando, like you said, with the roller coaster after roller coaster down there. But then they also are kind of stepping in it with the 9% surcharge. A lot of people don't like that. So I think that's why we're seeing it only 63% hot and a good 36, 37% of the audience saying not, because there are those little things that just kind of make people mad.
Yeah, there you go. 2/3 say hot, though.
Yeah.
2/3.
Yeah. All right, so let's go to the two big ones here. We're going to do Disney followed by Universal. So here's Walt Disney Parks and Resorts. A lot of people angry because of the prices. I mean, I'm curious where this is going to be, at least with our audience, how they feel about Disney versus Universal. So
I think we're going to see a flip-flop here, and I think because we're kind of setting everybody up, and I think people already do this automatically, comparing directly Walt Disney to Universal. And right now, Universal is hot. So by default, I think Disney's going to be not. And then here it is. We're seeing it 22%, 21.7 hot.
Yeah.
Is all that Disney's getting.
Yeah.
And I think we're going to see the exact invert when we talk Universal.
Yeah. Do you want to see? Let's see what happens here when we say Universal destinations and experiences. So wait, what was the hot on Disney? It was 22%, 21%.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're absolutely right, EB. We're seeing the flip. We're seeing it flip. Yeah. Because like right now, Universal's hot 76% and rising 78%.
78,
yeah,
going up. 80% almost for hot. Universal's hot. I mean, you can't deny it. The Fast and Furious roller coaster that I had doubts about is looking better and better every time I see pictures of the new track continuing to go up over in California. And then of course, Epic Universe on this side of things. Looking amazing. And then you've also got the Halloween haunt that's going into Vegas.
Right.
So Universal's hot all the way around.
Yeah. All right. So since we're talking about Universal, let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the big story of the past decade, I think, Epic Universe. Just with the hype out there right now, hot or not.
Oh, it's ridiculous. And I'm starting to see advertising.
Yes.
Out in the wild. For Epic Universe, those new promos that they made where the people go into the portal and then come back out. It's like, you got to come see this.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Those are great. Those are great commercials. And I think people are starting to realize this park exists. Nobody knew this park exists from the GP. Like I would tell people about it. They were like, what?
Yeah.
They had no idea this park even was being built. So I think people are going to get to know it. With all this advertising going up. And as soon as people start going to the park and coming back and telling people about it, it's going to get even better.
Yeah.
So here it is, 77% to 23%. This is hot.
Yeah. I wonder what the 23% of the audience is looking for. Why do they feel it's not hot? I'd love to find out about that.
Over it. Yeah, well, if you did, just tell us in the chat here.
Yeah, I'd be curious what people are talking about, because at this point, there's nothing to dislike about Epic Universe, so I would think it would be in like the 90%.
Tickets and pricing? I mean, that sort of thing?
Yeah, so I don't know. Interesting, though. So it's interesting to see. But now what I thought would be interesting, though, is to go through each of the portals and to see which one gets the best hot rating. I'm very curious, or if any of them would get a not rating. I'd be surprised.
Well, this first one here, Drew just said in the chat room, Fantastic Beasts is awful. I'll agree with that. That's for sure.
Yeah.
They should drop the whole Fantastic Beasts altogether and just really just call it Ministry of Magic. Don't even talk about it.
I know.
Fantastic Beasts.
I'm surprised that they're even putting that in there, and they should just, go with what works. And
don't even mention it.
Yeah, the Potter stuff works. So yeah, let's talk about the Wizarding World of Harry Potter, Ministry of Magic. I am curious which one is going to get the biggest hot out of here. And right now it's getting a not rating of 75%. So we'll see when all the votes come in here. But
isn't it more of the same? Right? We already have 2 Harry Potters.
Sure.
What is this going to offer me that I can't get at Hogsmeade or what's the other one? Or
I was going to say
Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Hogwarts.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what this is going to give me. It's going to give me the circus tent, and it's going to give me another Kuka arm. I don't know.
Yeah. I think the Ministry of Magic ride could be pretty cool, and that's probably why people will go in there. I think they'll marvel at like the size and scale of everything that's in there. Because I think it's even bigger than the other lands. But I don't know. The Fantastic Beast stuff doesn't appeal to most people. It doesn't appeal to our audience. Look at this, close to 60% saying not, which is surprising to me. I would think that it would still get a hot rating, but not as much as some of the others here. So we'll see. Let's move on to like Super Nintendo World. Is that going to get a hot rating? You would think so. I think so. I think our audience kind of would probably like that type of thing. But still, it's not running away either. It's like a 60% hot, 40% not right now.
Yeah, I mean, I'll admit that when we found out about Super Mario World going into Universal in California, I was disappointed in it. Right? It just looks like it's big, geometric, colorful things, and the wristbands that are underwhelming, and the interactivity that's underwhelming, and it's these static figures that are just kind of like moving up and down.
Yeah,
we're not talking about real animatronics. And then the Mario ride itself, the Mario Kart ride. It looks slow. I haven't been on it. I don't know for myself.
Yeah.
But it's been underwhelming. And now Super Nintendo World at Epic Universe, I'm getting the same vibe from it. I really am. And that Donkey Kong coaster, I don't know. I was excited about that one too. I thought the potential of a cantilevered coaster, Mike, we've been talking about on this podcast for 20 years.
Yeah, a long time.
And here we're seeing it. And it's like, right. That didn't do what I thought it was going to do.
Yeah. So the audience at 59% hot.
Okay. So it's still better than the other ones.
Yeah. So let's move on. How about How to Train Your Dragon, Isle of Berk? I mean, could this be one that kind of surprises people? I think this is one of the quieter ones.
This is the surprise for me, right? And I was like, How to Train Your Dragon. Is that something kids even like that much, to build a whole land around it? And you know what? I don't care, because the land looks awesome and the rides look really, really cool and the theming looks really great. It doesn't need to be something I understand. It's just fantasy world with dragons. And that's cool. Yeah. That's good enough for me.
Yeah.
Hot.
So it's right around the same 59% of the audience saying hot. Here, let's see what happens when we do this. Dark Universe. Is that going to be the runaway hit of this park? I mean, I can't.
This one I am also coming around to the more I see of it.
Yeah.
I really like the it's not a castle, it's the mansion or whatever. I guess they are calling it a castle. That looks fantastic.
Yeah.
The weenie. What did Walt call it?
Oh, the weenie. The weenie. Yeah.
The weenie of the land. It looks great. The rides look really cool. I like what they're doing with it. So it's convincing me, and the stuff that we've seen is convincing me. More and more. This was my least favorite land, and it's probably one of my favorites now.
Yeah, and what about
the audience agrees?
Yeah, the Burning Blades Cafe. It looks pretty awesome, like all that stuff. So yeah,
the Frankenstein animatronic.
Oh yeah, 91%, and a lot of people they're doing the cast member previews right now. A lot of people talking about how that Frankenstein experiment ride is just going to be blow people away. Yeah, it's just like, next level type thing. So, I mean, much like I think Spider-Man, when that came out at Islands of Adventure, it kind of became the ride at that park. I think that's what this new Universal Monsters ride is going to be as well. So, yeah, 91% saying hot. So that's pretty good. And then you also have to say Celestial Park. I mean, that's it's not really a portal, but it is something that you're going to experience when you go in. It's got the roller coaster there. It's going to be the first thing that people see.
When we talked to Universal and had them on the podcast to talk about this, we talked about Celestial Park, and this is a park. It's going to be beautiful, and it's hot. Yeah, it's going to be really cool, and it's got the number one ride according to our audience in this polling right now. The Starfall Racers, Stardust Racers, excuse me.
Yeah, there you go. So like 70% saying hot for Celestial Park. So I love the idea, like of how that's just going to set the stage for everybody's experience at Epic Universe. So really cool. So we've got one more, and this just kind of like sets up the 2025 season. As you take a look at your excitement level for the parks in 2025, where is it? Are people feeling hot about this season, or are they kind of feeling like, it's going to be middle of the road?
Well, I think if you put Epic Universe as a part of what's happening in 2025, things are pretty exciting. I think you have to separate your feelings and your optimism about everything else that's going on right now from your excitement about going to the parks. We can still go to the parks and have a good time. You can still listen to this podcast and have a good time. Don't worry about it. This is the whole idea. It's an escape, right? We're going through a portal to a fantasy land. This is exciting. Let's get back to the parks. I'm ready for 2025, Mike. I'm voting hot. Yeah,
me too. I'm feeling excited about, all the things coming to parks this year. I think we are living in a world where we kind of need this type of thing, this type of distraction more than ever. So I think the parks are primed for a good season in 2025. And 68% agreeing with us, EB. I wish it was higher. I wish we were like at 90 or 95%. People really pumped up. But I think people are going to be surprised by what the parks have to offer this year. It's going to be good.
Oh, you're convincing people, Mike. It's going up to 72%, yes. 73%. Yeah, great.
There we go. See, that's what's interesting, because you don't have to lock
75%.
In. Yeah, see,
get excited, everybody. Come on.
Yeah, people loving it, man. That's good, because
hot.
That's what we do this show for, man. This show is all about that type of thing, just escape and relaxation.
Get excited.
Yeah. So there we go. Cool. 75% EB saying they're hot, excited for the parks in 2025.
Good. Well, thank you guys. This has been so much fun. I do like this episode of Coaster Radio, and the interactivity is so much fun. So the people who did join us here live on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. Eastern time, thank you so much for taking the time. Remember, every week we're here live, whether we're doing the poll and you can actually do the interactivity. There's a chat room that's very busy, and we see the chats come through, and we can talk to you all on the show while that's happening. But you can also see us in real time and get a little behind the scenes peek at the way the podcast is put together. So do join us Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, and watch the show, get recorded. And then if you don't, watch the show on YouTube. We're on YouTube now, and you can watch the live or the video podcast of Coaster Radio. It's there on YouTube. Find it.
Yeah, if you missed, joining us for the show, you can actually still go back and watch the numbers fly by and see how people voted. It's really cool because it's all real time and happening right here on the show. So, but definitely down the road, keep an eye on us on social media. We're on Instagram, we're on X, we're on Facebook. I mean, pretty much any social media, you're going to find us. We always try to give you guys a heads up on when these interactive episodes are coming up. So, we've got game shows coming up in the future that you can be a part of. We're doing the Ultimate, which is our season-long game show. Lots of good things to get excited about. So make sure you follow us on social media too. And we'll always keep you updated on opportunities for you to be a part of the show.
Totally. And Mike, I'm seeing in the chat room right now, the trending comment is, what about a coasterradio.com meetup in 2025? That is hot.
Yes, there you go. There you go. Well, we are going to one park next week. We're going to King's Dominion, and there's no better way to do it than to talk about it in person. So let me start talking, because one of the ideas we're kicking around is for September or early October doing a 50th anniversary meetup at two parks that are celebrating their 50th anniversary, Busch Gardens, Williamsburg, and King's Dominion. So we're at King's Dominion, and we're also going to be at Busch Gardens, I'm sure, for Big Bad Wolf. So maybe an opportunity to ask those guys, like, hey, what do you think about doing that in September? And we'll set it up. We'll do it.
Yeah, we're closing in on the end of September, first or second weekend of October is kind of what we're really looking at. So you can pencil those in and kind of set aside those first 2 weekends in October, and hopefully we can get there. Hopefully we can make it happen, pull it off. But that's what we're working on. So there's your update.
Absolutely. So we want to thank everybody who joined us here tonight for the live look-in and participating, because it's always so great to have a good group of people here who make these interactive shows work. But we also want to thank all of you. So many of you guys out there who join us week after week. We appreciate you guys who talk about the show to other people. The best way to grow this show is through word of mouth. So we appreciate if you got a theme park fan in your life, you tell them to, hey, you want to listen to something on the way to work, a little way to kind of relax and get excited for the theme park season. Well, we appreciate it when you tell them about our show. We also appreciate those people who help us out at patreon.com/Coaster Radio. It's kind of a pay what you want service with different pledge levels, and you get a whole bunch of different things at the different levels. Everybody who joins the Patreon at patreon.com/Coaster Radio is admitted into our Discord, and there's a ton of great conversations happening there every day. But at other levels, EB actually sends you things in the mail, which is really, really cool. There's always fun stuff that we see people posting on social media when they get a package from EB.
Yeah, that's right. We've got both the birthday club where I send you something great on your birthday, but then we also have the snail mail club where I send out stuff, park maps. I sent sunglasses once. I sent hats out to people. Stickers go out all the time, but lots of cool stuff. So yeah, go to patreon.com/Coaster Radio. Check out the perks, the bonus content, all that good stuff. Go to the coasterradio.com website. There's the Coaster Radio store with T-shirts. There's a beach towel up there now, I think,
Whoa.
Mike, so you can get ready for the water park.
Nice.
So go to the Coaster Radio store. It's at coasterradio.com. Scroll down to the bottom. You'll see the big link down there to the Coaster Radio T-shirt shop. We've also got referral links there for hotels.com and amazon.com. But Mike, let's go back to Patreon and say thanks to everybody that supports the show at the $20 level. Our friends Alex Payne, Brian Wackler, Chris Rankin, Cincinnati Nick, the sweatshirt guy, our friends at Club Z, the two bearded coaster Chris's, CM Venom, Colton Toms, David Sakala, Dino, Grace, and John Brody.
Also John Brown, Josh Combs, Justin Padilla, Karen and Lee Howlren, Kevin Wilson, Kyle Kiefer, our friends at Made to Thrill, Matt Walker, Michael Foucault, Paolo De Los Reyes, Rich Barber, Rick Burnley, Shane Mankiewicz, our friends at the Thrill Nerds, Tom from Louisville, and Zachary Carpenter.
Also a big shout out to Kyle Lindner Design Company, specializing in branding, illustration, and small batch custom apparel. You can find them on Instagram at Lindner Design. That's our good friend Kyle, who helped us redesign our logo for the 2025 season of CoasterRadio.com.
It looks great. It's out there everywhere, man, even on the T-shirts that are in the T-shirt shop. So it's pretty cool.
Yep.
Cool stuff. So thank you guys once again. It's fun to be doing shows like this, like Hot or Not. We got a lot of fun stuff planned, including next week, coming to you for our first in-park show of the year at King's Dominion for Rapterra. So that's exciting. And then after that, EB, we're getting into our listener question shows. And then following that, I think we're going to go old school and actually have our AI enhanced version of the very first episode of Coaster Radio. And then following that, we are actually at the 20th anniversary where we're going to have our big anniversary show. So a ton of great stuff coming up here at Coaster Radio over the next couple weeks.
You've been listening to Coaster Radio, the original theme park podcast. To learn more about the show and hear hundreds of episodes from the archives, visit our website at coasterradio.com. This is your announcer, Neil Patrick Harris. Thanks for listening. Peace out, suckers. Coaster Radio is a production of Lift Hill Media, LLC. Audio and video from this program may not be broadcast, edited, or reproduced without our express written permission. Copyright 2025, all rights reserved. This was all done in one breath.